Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am excited to share with you my implementation of vertical slices architecture in a .NET application. This architecture is fantastic for creating a modular and maintainable code bases, especially for complex projects. So let's dive right in. Here is the project that I'm going to be using for this demo. So vertical slice architecture organizes code by feature rather than by technical concerns such as controllers, services, or repositories. This approach ensures that all necessary components for a specific feature are grouped together, forming a vertical slice of the application. Each slice includes everything from the user interface to the database access, encapsulating the complete functionality for that feature. So I've prepared a few diagrams. So let's take a look now. Here's a visual representation of vertical slices architecture, the way I did it for this demo. As you can see, each feature, like appointments, identity, and emails, contains its own set of components, including features, event handlers, events, models, infrastructure, and migrations. This method promotes high cohesion and low coupling, making your code easier to understand, modify, and maintain. So as you can see, we have features like create appointment, get appointment, all of them reside in separate classes. We have models, we have events, we have infrastructure, SaaS integrations, etc. We have the database migrations, we have some event handlers, and we have the different features right here. Before we delve deeper, let's briefly discuss the traditional layered architecture, which many of us are familiar with. So I've prepared another diagram. So in layered architecture, the application is divided into horizontal layers based on technical concerns. So these layers typically include the presentation layer, application layer, domain layer, and database layer. Each layer has its own responsibility. For example, presentation layer handles user interface and user interactions. Application layer contains business logic and application services. Domain layer, well, core business logic and domain entities. Database layer, which is managing data access and persistence. So while this approach provides a clear separation of concerns, it can sometimes lead to tightly coupled layers, making it difficult to maintain and scale complex applications. So this approach really works, and it works well, really well, until you need to scale and until you need to migrate to something like microservices. Then you have an issue because most of your code lives here. There is no separation, so you need to touch a lot of different layers at once in order for you to be able to extract each microservice. So enough about layered architecture, let's get back to vertical slices architecture. So one of the great advantages of vertical slice architecture is its flexibility. There is no single way of implementing this architecture. It depends on the problem at hand, how you will structure it, the folders you use, and the overall organization of your project. The structure I'm showing today is just one way that I decided to use for my project. In my project, I've organized the features to best suit my needs, and you can do the same depending on your specific requirements. Each vertical slice can decide for itself how to best fulfill its needs without being constrained by the layers found in traditional architectures. This approach minimizes the coupling between slices while maximizing cohesion within a slice. So let's take a quick look at this project. The code would be available in GitHub. Let's start by taking a closer look at the appointments feature right here. In the appointments feature, I've organized everything needed for managing appointments. This includes creating, deleting, and editing appointments, as well as handling events related to appointments. So, features folder contains commands and queries related to the appointments, like create appointment, delete appointment, edit appointment. So these are empty, but you get the idea. I'm using mediator and fast endpoints. We have event handlers. Here I have event handlers that react to domain events, such as user deleted event handler, for example. I have events folder. This folder includes events that occur within the domain, like appointments created event, appointment deleted, edited, and etc. I have models, which defines data structures used within this feature, like these appointments. I have infrastructure for currently my DB context, so I have a separate DB context for each feature if I want to. And I have migrations folder. So that's really it for the appointments feature. So although all the features are pretty much the same, we'll take a look at them. So let's take a look at emails. So as you can see, pretty much the same folder structure mostly. We have features. Currently we have only one feature, which is send email. Event handlers. For example, here we have user registered event handler. Whenever we have a new user that's just registered, we are sending him an email. We have all sort of events like email sent event and etc. Pretty much the same stuff. And we have identity, which is our authentication and authorization module. We are using ASP.NET Core Identity, which is built-in identity from Microsoft, and cookie-based authentication. I have another video that I've created using JWT tokens. So anyways, folder structure similar. We have events, we have features. So let's take a look at the register user. So we have an endpoint for which we use fast endpoints. We are using mediator, and here is our handler. We're creating the user, and once we've created the user, we're publishing a user registered event which is being handled by any party that's interested in this event. In our case, that is our email feature. Other stuff, standard, we have a DB context, we have models, and we have services here. An important aspect of this architecture is how features can communicate through events. Events allow different parts of the application to react to changes and actions in a decoupled manner. Let's take a look again at user registered event handler. So this is an example of an event handler in action. Like I said, when a new user registers, this handler is triggered to send a welcome email. So we publish events, and any part of our system interested in this event can handle it the way it wants. For example, email is sending email. If we have, let's say, user deleted event handler, then appointments feature, for example, here could be triggered, and it could, let's say, remove all of these users' appointments. So this really allows you to add or modify event handlers without impacting other parts of the system. It's a decoupled kind of way of communication. So feature A doesn't need to know which other features or systems will handle this event. It shouldn't care. So that's really it. Other than that, let's take a look at program CS. We are using mediator. We are adding our assemblies here. our services. We are using course, we are using problem details, we have an exception handler, which is global exception handler, which is coming from .NET 8 using iException handler. What do we have else? We have like identity. Other than that, here I'm using minimal APIs for login and log out. So rows and log out. Actually, I'll move these to the separate features in identity feature actually. And that's pretty much it. Let's take a quick look again. We have the features, we have our API, we have the UI, which is not important in our case. And there you have it. That's a quick overview of how I've implemented vertical slice architecture in my .NET application. This approach helps keep our codebase clean, modular, and maintainable, making it easier to scale and evolve. Remember, there is no single way to implement this architecture. It all depends on the problem you're solving and your specific requirements. This structure is just one way that I decided to use. But really, this approach makes migration to microservices way easier than otherwise, because now you have everything in one place and you can just kinda, of course, extract it and move it to a microservice. For example, if you want to move appointments to a microservice based architecture, and you can move appointments in a separate container, being a microservice, and you could leave everything else as is. You have a lot of options. So there is no single solution when it comes to architecture. It always depends, really. That's the rule. It depends on your specific situation. There is no right or wrong answer. There is the answer that works for your situation. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content on software development and architecture. Also, I've created a blog post where I go into details about vertical slice architecture, and the link will be below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.